Hi everybody, and welcome to the first edition of It's All About Engagement, the official podcast of Morticia. I'm here, my name's Fintan Connolly, and I'm joined by Gunther Everett, CEO of Morticia. Gunther, how are you?
Hey Fintan, I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. We're in this beautiful place. We're here in the main square in Kraków. We've been here for the last couple of days and we're here until Friday. We're spending some time with some partners and some customers, so really soaking it all in and really enjoying it. So what we intend to do is over the next number of months is have a podcast where we're going to meet industry luminaries, some of our customers, some of our partners, and we're going to talk a little bit about engagement. Hopefully we're going to have a bit of fun doing it as well. And as an opener, I guess I just wanted to maybe come to Gunther here and ask Gunther, Gunther, what do you, our tagline in Morticia is it's all about engagement. Our podcast is now called It's All About Engagement. What do you mean by that? What's engagement all about?
Yeah, engagement is something that's important for all of us, private, professionally. I think if you're not engaged, you're not excited. If you're not excited, then what are we doing in this world, So I think we are looking all for this type of engagement field, and at Morticia we try to help companies maximize that field amongst their employees or their customers or their partners. Hence, it's all about engagement. That's it.
And one of the things came back to me today at that session with our partners was when they talked a little bit about engagement and what engagement means, and we say it so many times, it's an emotional connection to something. That's when somebody's truly engaged. So if you're trying to engage your customers, it's where your customers might have an emotional connection to your brand, right? If you're trying to engage your employees, whether they be salespeople or all of your employees, it's where they have emotional connection to your brand, to your organization, to the values of your organization. Talk a little bit about that and what you reckon, because I thought that was an interesting thing from one of the world's largest companies that operate in the engagement, recognition and loyalty space, and this was one of the key tenets.
Yeah, in the end, it's all about the experience you have as a human being, So and the experience is something that needs to resonate with the values of the company. So each company has got its own values. One of ours is celebrate. So here we are celebrating. So cheers.
Cheers.
With Polish wine, by the way.
Belgian beer.
No, it's Dutch, but you can't say it's Heineken.
It's actually Polish. It's in a Polish glass.
You're right. You're good. But it's about connecting and with the company and its values, And if there's a good fit, then the engagement levels with the good right push will rise, automatically. If intrinsically there's no connection, no fit, then there's no point of connecting as a company with your stakeholders. And that's what we are about, to try and help companies with our technology maximize that feel that intrinsically needs to be there to get the most out of it, That's what it's all about for us, I think.
Yeah.
Well, what's your view on it?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been kind of banging on for a long time that, you can't take, for example, employee recognition in isolation in a silo. You can't take sales performance on incentive in a silo. You can't take customer engagement necessarily in a silo. We talk about this kind of, EX equals CX, so the employee experience equals the customer experience. And for me, it's all about engagement. That's what joins those two things. If your employees are not engaged, there's some horses in the background. If those horses aren't engaged,
Do you want to marry me?
No. If those employees are not engaged, well, the service level that they provide, whatever that might be, it's going to be felt by, or it's going to impact the customer. So the CX is going to be derived from that. So to me, it's kind of that circle. We talk a little bit about this velocity of engagement, right? This flywheel of engagement as you engage your employees and they become net promoters. That you engage strangers to become your customers and they become your net promoters. So, it's really all one part of the one process for me. And, some companies that we work with talk a little bit about kind of loyalty, whether it's employee loyalty or customer loyalty. We talk about engagement, employee engagement, customer engagement. But I think it's critical and to take one part of that process in isolation won't have the same impact. It's still good, but it won't have the same impact.
It's that flywheel effect we want to achieve it, and we want to have as an effect within companies, you know. And once the flywheel gets going, it should lead to more engaged people. It should lead to more satisfied customers, and research proves it that if people are more engaged, you know, there's less absenteeism, there's more employee. Like people stay longer within the company, customers are more satisfied. So that there's lots of studies that prove the point that engagement really is key. And in this modern age, I think it's where products are being more commoditized, where there's less difference in services between companies. I think people make the difference, you know. We've been saying this all along, but I think now we're at the point where people really make a difference, you know, and that's the engagement flywheel effect that we indeed would love to.
And there are those key things that we talk about that, you know, used to be described as soft, but now we know there's hard business results and bottom line, ultimately reduction in cost for turnover staff, the acquisition of customers, the cost of acquisition of customers, to have your existing customers promote you to their friends and family. So all of that, they're hard business performance results, or metrics is probably a better word to use. And I think, you know, it's based around culture and it's based around value. So, you know, we work for and buy from, you know, organizations or companies that their values resonate with us, right? So if you know, we talked about a company called Patagonia. I know everybody knows Patagonia, but we talked about, you know, part of their MO, part of what they want to do, their culture and values is to save the earth. That's their mission statement. We want to save the earth. So, you know, they put their entire company into a trust rather than floating it, which they could have done. They could have all become billionaires. No, they rolled back and that put into a trust on all profits. And its whole MO of Patagonia now is to help save the earth. So people will buy from that company because that resonates with their values, their culture. And I think it's the same if you're working for a company. I'm sure Patagonia have people, or a lot more people, queuing up to join their team, to work for those. They probably have a lot less turnover because that's a critical value that they want to be with. Let me just hit that. Okay, still recording. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking that indeed it's all about engagement, but it's all about people as well. You know, if people are more and more in control on finding out what companies represent, what values they have, how they position themselves within their stakeholders. I think that before they even enter into a first interview, for instance, as an employee or as a partner or as a customer, I think people are more informed upfront. Hence, the relationship can start quicker as well. You don't have to go through all these processes necessarily anymore, which is a benefit for a company. So if we other providers can help that effect, that people have easier means to get in contact with companies through different channels, internal, external ones, through incentive programs, loyalty programs, whatever. But if that transparency is there, I think it helps engage people more as from the start. So how can we, or how can companies in general achieve this goal, you know, with easy means? So what's your thought on that?
I totally agree, and I think, look, that's what Motricia is about, right? We're there to try and create engagement within organizations, whether it's with staff, whether it's with salespeople internally within an organization, or whether it's externally with their customers, and we do this all over the world every day of the week. You know, I think over the coming months and years, please God, you know, we'll be talking more about engagement. We'll be going into this in a lot more detail, and we'd want to show, you know, our listeners and our followers, you know, examples of that and case studies of how we're beginning to impact those organizations that need to be, you know, that need to be progressive, because going forward, it's only progressive organizations that will have that longevity. So I think that's incredibly important. But what it does bring me back to a little bit just is, you know, and as I said, we'll go into this in more detail. But maybe I joined the company just over 4 years ago, and I came from both human and specifically the HR space. Your background was really in the sales and marketing space, so we felt those two areas of engagement of those businesses fit perfectly together, because we saw that, that flywheel that we talk about, that circular motion. But maybe tell me a little bit about, or tell everybody a little bit about Tisha, how you got going. And,
Yeah, good question. First of all, I want to say we had these great ideas at your house near the fireplace, and I brought some good Belgian beer.
That's right.
So maybe the inspiration come from there.
Got the creative juices flowing with Belgian beer.
But indeed, it's a long journey we've been in. So 20 years ago, we started off as an incentive marketing agency, and we developed our own technology to support those programs in the Benelux. So Benelux is Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, which was good, regional area to start with these kinds of solutions, but also the complexity of having different languages as from the start, so 3-4 languages, also different cultures. It's not that we speak the same language as Flemish people with the Dutch, that the culture is the same, so we immediately felt through our solutions those differences. So how do you cope with those differences and try to get one integrated solution out there to your customers was actually our goal.
Right.
And out of that we developed the technology that could support that goal. What we felt then after 10 to 15 years in the business and surviving a banking crisis, because that hit us, and created the business model we have currently, we were looking on how to maximize that technology, because we felt with our key customers like KBC or BMW or General Electric, Microsoft, so the Fortune 500 countries in our region, how could we help offer this solution to global customers? And then we got to know each other through the Incentive Marketing Association network, where we had good contacts, and I remember we met in Bruges and Ghent for the first time, so it was great to have that resonation between the two of us, and then we tried to take it to the next level. So how can we scale that technology and offer it to a wider audience globally? And that's the stage where we started working together, and that's the stage we're in. That's why we're here now. This is actually a proof of that journey that we're still on, so that's how we came about.
And it's quite incredible. I think in previous roles that I had, engagement, particularly employee recognition, was really mainly driven out of the US. It was more of a US centric piece, because I guess maybe their holidays were shorter. They don't necessarily get the same employment perks as in Europe. So there was a monetary value put on it rather than engagement and a company performance value. And there's one thing that I've noticed specifically, I guess I'm in this industry, 15 years now, is that, we're here literally in the middle of Europe, in Kraków in Poland. And this is one of the centers of engagement, not only for Europe, but for the world. And Europe has really begun to I think, change over the last number of years, away from, don't you get X amount of holidays. It's not about, benefits. It's not about remuneration. It's about engagement, and it's about performance, and it's about reducing employee turnover. It's about cost per acquisition for customers, or retaining customers whilst others are losing them. So I think for me, that's one of the biggest things I've seen in the last 10 years specifically, that Europe has really become to the forefront. What do you think?
No, I just want to ask another question. So that's your background, indeed. So for you, from your perspective, what was for you the intrinsic motivation to join our company on that journey? What made it happen for you?
I believe, because I believe it's a bigger picture. I don't think it's just about the employee. I don't think it's just about channel partners. I don't think it's just about salespeople, and I don't think it's just about customers. I think everything is intrinsically linked. That if you are engaging one or multiples of those groups, you are just going to perform better. So we had that opportunity where my experience came from one side of the industry, yours was embedded in the other side of the industry. And look, we've worked really hard over the last 4+ years to try and build and create that next generation product suite through the Multisha Cloud, and that's ultimately how we help to bring that to companies, right? All over the world. I think it's amazing. Over that period, we have customers across North America, we have customers in the UK, we've obviously customers in Benelux, France, Thailand, and many other kind of fantastic locations, and a network that we've built, which is really exciting for me, because we're all the same at the end of the day. It doesn't matter whether you're in Asia or Europe or the US or Latin America or Canada. It is all about engagement. It's about respect. It's about valuing your customers, valuing your employees, finding out what your values are and matching those, and getting that emotional connection. So for me, it's fantastic.
It's great to hear, and that's the reason why we joined strengths together. I think those two angles to the industry. I think our customers benefit from that currently, because out of one cockpit they can manage different target groups, but with the same core values, and that really swings that engagement flywheel. And we have current projects that go multiple directions out of that one cockpit. So we're actually starting to prove, or are proving, that vision we shared from the start at the fireplace at your home. So that's at least something good can come out of it.
Exactly, apart from the hangover. but I think the industry is beginning to see that. Our industry in general is beginning to see that as well, where that it is maybe a circular motion rather than just a silo or a part of that circular piece. That some organizations are calling it enterprise engagement, others are whatever. There's various different tags, and that'll evolve over time. But I think we're well placed within the industry, Europe, US, and further afield in Asia Pacific to begin to really amplify that message.
Maybe it's a good moment. Maybe that you try to position IMA in that story, because that's where we got to know each other. But we started in the board of IMA Europe and tried to grow our organization of industry professionals in the incentive, loyalty, and recognition business. But then you moved more to the US board. Could you maybe give a bit of insight on that for people listening?
Yeah, and I think we both of us have been on the board for many years now. I sat on the European board since I think about 2006. 2016, and I'm currently president of the US or global board, and I think I'm on that board maybe 8 years now at this stage. So I think that the IMA and where it's been has shown how this industry is beginning to level up, for the want of a better word. That we have a common standard across all of our, as human beings, we want to be engaged, we want to be recognized, we want to be incentivized, we want to create loyalty, that we want those triggers. And I think the IMA has grown with that as well, where there's similarities. We work with organizations through the IMA, from Australia with IMA, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. In Europe with all of our member countries, from Italy to obviously Belgium and UK and Ireland and so on, and then in Brazil. And then obviously the mothership in terms of the US and North America, where the sales and channel side of things I think was very higher progressed, but maybe the technology necessarily wasn't where it was. But all of that is improving, and I think the IMA was perfectly positioned to begin, and it's evolving with that now as we see members grow exponentially year over year. We see the attendance at the summits, whether it's the European Summit or the US Summit in Boston this year, in July. We're just beginning to see huge traction there, and I think that's just a symptom of an industry that's only in its infancy in terms of its life cycle.
I think it's huge potential. The accent you as a president for the last year, what was your accent you wanted to put on IMA as an organization globally?
Yeah, I think part of it was to really see where we could add value in the global regions. So whether that be Europe, and Europe does a superb job and has done for a number of years, it's grown incredibly. But how could we bring those constituent parts together? Europe, Middle East, Asia Pacific, Brazil, and then obviously the US. How could we begin to bind those to talk about cross-pollination, because we have all of the stakeholders within that loop that we're talking about, whether it's gift card providers or merchandise or service providers like ourselves who provide the technology. We have all of those constituent parts to it as well. So it's how do we begin to cross-pollinate and really drive value both in learning, thought leadership, and business development. Look, we're there to do business.
In the end we are, but it's good to see that mixture of those different, let's call them regions coming together. Last year we were in Salt Lake City. This year it'll be in Boston. So if you look at let's say the European people that were there, I think we had a huge attendance last year.
Absolutely.
And I really felt that there was keen interest between those regions on the floor during the summit. I think if I look at it currently and with the other 6 amongst others, it's growing, so it shows the potential. Do you see similarity on what's happening through our organization and how we as a company want to position ourselves towards our stakeholders? Do you think there's a...
Yeah, I think, so as you know, we operate a kind of multi-pronged approach in terms of building our market, and have been, and we have our direct channel where we're working directly with national brands. Sorry, it's just battery signal is giving me low. I think we're good again. And so yeah, we work with national brands directly, whether that be Post in Belgium or some of the major car manufacturers we work with. But we also have our indirect channel at the Matisha Partner Alliance, where we have people obviously reselling Matisha technology in a white label format. So I think there are two key distinct channels for us, and I see that being extremely important going forward, because it gives us that reach into the market. We have best-in-class technology, we have best-in-class partners, we have best-in-class suppliers that provide us, whether it's travel, merchandise, or gift cards, whatever that might be. But we're always consistently striving to improve our product, to improve the ecosystem that we operate in. So it's quite similar. I think the old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats,
as the old saying
goes. And, I think as the tide rises in our industry, the players that are going to make gains and do well out of this are those who actively engage with that. Equally, the companies that actively engage with this, who want to engage their workforce, who want to engage their customers, create loyalty, they're the ones that are going to benefit out of this. It's mission critical for any company now, and it has to be a distinct part of those organizations' budgets, whether they're retailers or whatever industry they're in. So I think it's exciting times ahead.
It's strategic to the company, I think. If you're not into engaging your stakeholders, your workforce, I think you're out of business. And these days it can go so quickly. If we look around what's happening with some of the banks in Europe, America currently, you build your reputation over the years, but it can go quickly, and you really need to cherish this or harvest this.
And to be ever evolving and to pivot consistently. Look at we've pivoted into what we've done. You've pivoted multiple times at Matisha prior to that, and we'll continue to pivot and grow and change direction. We don't want to be a Kodak. No offense to any Kodak people or Nokia. They were entrenched in what they believed was where the market was going to go. Whereas now, any of the companies that really won out of that were ones that began to adapt, evolve, pivot, and react to the market, I think.
But people are core,
Right.
If you keep your good people, they will tell you where the company should be heading.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's indeed our mission, to help achieve that goal for our customers. So we really try to look for those companies who believe in that vision, who believe in that engagement flywheel effect. And then on the long term, we can do great stuff as we've done. And for me, the proof of the pudding personally is the fact that on a global scale now, for the last 3-4 years, we are really working with Fortune 500 companies who cherish that vision and who follow that vision, and then if they find the right technology and the right service support and us as a solution provider, then that makes us happy, I think, and gets our people at the headquarters very excited when we launch new projects as such. So,
and it's built around trust and all those things. And I think what we can talk about in other detail, when we're there, is talk a little bit about the kind of technology and how our technology is bringing that to the market, how it is best in class, from a security point of view, from a feature point of view, from that kind of next generation piece, and how our partners respect that and our customers respect that, because it gives them comfort and faith. But I think we'll go into a lot more of those details as we go. But today was really about an introduction as well as testing the technology. I think it's worked, but the battery's going to go on my phone, so I'm probably going to cut it, or we'll cut it short now. But yeah, look, I think we want to have a light-hearted approach. We bring various people onto the podcast, in whatever walk of life they are, to get their opinion. It doesn't have to all be heavy business and heavy, but we'll hopefully be informative and have a bit of crack while we're doing it.
I'm just thinking on an idea just popped up, ladies and gentlemen, but I think we should end with something that we learned today, what we kept out of today. So today we're at a strategic partner event, all on loyalty. Something that struck you today that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was, so we were lucky enough and privileged enough to meet the president of Poland. He, reigned, for the want of a better word. Well, I think they're always called Mr. President.
Oh,
I think so, but that's the impression I get anyway. But his term was from '95 to 2005, probably the most. A developmental, sea-changing moment in the history, or one of them in Poland, when they began to move from a communist type of society into a more capitalist society. Look how far much has changed. I was in Krakow 20 years ago. I haven't been here since. It's an entirely different city. And one of the things he talked a little bit about today was about change. And he said change is inevitable. It's been happening since biblical times. But it's the pace of change that can create risk, and that's where we're. So don't try and stop change, react, pivot to it, but understand the pace of it, because it's the pace of change that creates risk. So that was
nice
probably
that's what you got there. For me, it was as well the Polish president and not past president. Was very inspirational. I was inspired by the way he was very pragmatical on getting Poland into NATO, getting Poland into the EU. He had a very good helicopter view. He had some anecdotes on meeting President Bush, even Putin, and other world leaders at the time. So it was very inspirational on how he got Poland through that transitional phase, which were really important, and we're seeing the effect here. What I got from his presentation as well, what you said, I agree, but also the fact that he said we did it differently than other former Soviet communist countries, where they actually gave the power to the small entrepreneurs.
Right.
So they built the wealth out of the bottom of the entrepreneurial spirit of Poland, and it had a really sustainable effect, and that's what we're experiencing now. As you said, it's so nice here in Krakow. It's really something we would want to recommend for people visiting Europe, visit Krakow. But you really do feel it, that it's intrinsically the right move they made, and that everybody's on that train, and that's what we are benefiting from now.
And I think what he said, it was from the ground up, right? To turn, they needed the capital to create capitalism, but it had to come from the entrepreneurs. It couldn't come from oligarchs, for example, or it couldn't come from the state. And therefore they've built this entrepreneurial society, which is incredible in such a short space of time.
Which is an incredible vision, coming from a communist background and then having to go into capitalism. How do you build that up? But I think that's something we can share with you in another podcast maybe. But I think it was great to have this first one, Fintan. So
and just so we know, I'm going to give it an attempt to pronounce his name. I think it's Alexander Kwasniewski. No, probably not. I'll get it the next time. I got Alexander anyway. That was
good.
Polish names aren't that easy to
Let's
pronounce.
practice for the next podcast.
Exactly,
Okay.
So guys, thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, guys, for listening.
Us. We're available on the usual places where you get your podcasts, on Spotify and the usual YouTube and so on. We'll do this once a month. It'll probably last on average about 30 minutes, seeing how we go. I think we're running about 28 minutes now, but the battery's running out. And as I said, it's going to be light-hearted, it's going to be a bit of fun. We're going to talk about the industry, but we're going to talk about everything and anything, just stuff that we find interesting. So thanks for your time. Gunther, any last words?
No, I enjoyed it. I was a bit nervous, to be honest, on how it would work, because English is a native language for me. It's not so. But I enjoyed it a lot, and the scenery is super. So, but I'm looking forward to get feedback, maybe input from our audience, and looking forward to the next one.
Cool.
So
that's good. Well, thanks, and remember, it's all about engagement.